We can use meditation to transcend illusion. Or let's try this again. Using meditation to transcend illusion is easier than they let you to believe. This morning's lesson is drawn from the 4th verse of Yongjieshuanjui's Song of Enlightenment, composed in the 8th century. Together, let's chant. Instant understanding is thus come one tathagata meditation. Every practice and perfection is present in your body's tissues that facilitate awareness and release. The 6 passive existence like real in a dream. Once you're awake, the whole graspable universe is gone. That is as tantalizing as it is opaque. Let's see if we can't shed some light on this. Let's begin with the 6 paths. This refers not to the presence of pride, jealousy, fear, confusion, greed, and hate, but to the tyranny. So let's explain that. Perhaps you remember the movie Ratatouille, where a rat who is a genius in the kitchen figures out how to control a chef who is an oaf in the kitchen. When I say chef, I mean sous chef. And when I say sous chef, I mean the lowest rung in the kitchen ladder. In that movie. Don't want any chefs coming for me. So now that we've seen that our challenge is not to stop experiencing these emotions. Our job is to transcend the control of these illusions. But how do we do that? Fortunately, evolution's got our back. Evolution has provided mechanisms that not only explain this problem, but solve this problem. And I would like to explore that during the next 4 graphics. Whoops, it looks like there's some confusion here. Okay, so here's how it works. A few inches behind our forehead, there's a big hunk of meat known as the anterior cingulate gyrus. It functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy, and that's beautiful. Sadly, in the veritable basement of our brain, there's a bit called the amygdala. It functions as the seat of our darker impulses: fear, hate, greed, the like. It's very, very dark. It's very, very difficult. Now, it's the key to our survival instincts, but anybody will tell you that surviving should not be mistaken for thriving. So we want both. Yes, we want to survive, but we don't just want to survive. We want peace and we want fulfillment as well. So we have to, the amygdala needs to stop being our boss and start being our employee, or to get it out of capitalistic terms, it's supposed to be a tool that we use when we need it, not the defining characteristic of our lives. So how do we escape the tyranny of this amygdala? By using the 2 facets of our autonomic nervous system. The first is the sympathetic aspect, which is located not in the brain proper, but in the spinal cord, specifically in the thoracic or rib cage region. And it is wired in such a way not to support active concentration, but instead to support simply noticing. And to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. So it helps us to notice sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. In addition to perceptions, it helps us to emote, intend, reason, recall, and imagine, or at least to notice these things. But what are we to do with these things once we notice them? Well, that's is when we turn our attention to the second facet of our autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic aspect, also in our spinal cord, but this time in the lower lumbar region corresponding to the pelvic area, and the tippy top of the cervical region corresponding to the top of our neck and the bottom of our brain. And it is wired to support both physical relaxation and mental release. Now that can seem ungainly and messy, so let me simplify it for you. Our observant sympathetic nervous system is correlated with our inhalation. That is why inhalation is the ideal time to practice mindfulness. Our parasympathetic nervous system is correlated with our exhalation. That is why physical relaxation and mental release are best practiced during our exhalation. So now let's return to this morning's root text. As we breathe in, we can notice the 6 paths of existence. We can notice our experience of pride, jealousy, fear, confusion, greed, and hate. They can seem very vivid as we breathe in, but as we relax into our exhalation, they can feel utterly non-graspable as the illusion of the infinite azure sky in a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although is tantalizing to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand. So when we look at this couplet, we're looking at a simile or a metaphor. So they're not literally gone. The universe that is gone is not the actual universe, but the illusion of a universe that is graspable. We experience graspability as we breathe in, but as we breathe out, we experience non-graspability. And this is due, we're having some trouble here. This is due to the function of our autonomic nervous system in our spinal cord. Hence, every practice and perfection of mindfulness and meditation is present in your body. So here's the cool thing. This is what is meant by the instant understanding of the thus come one, or Tathagata, which is one of the many synonyms for Buddha. The instant understanding of the Tathagata meditation. So the Buddha's meditation process is not an arduous path that requires decades or lifetimes of contemplation and austerities. Au contraire, it is simple as cooperating with our inhalation and our exhalation. And I'll give you the specific go-to instructions in just a minute or two. But first, now that we've completed our exploration of this verse, I would like to chant it with you one final time. Instant understanding is thus come one Tathagata meditation. Every practice and perfection is present in your body's tissues that facilitate awareness and release. The 6 paths of existence look real in a dream. Once you're awake, the whole graspable universe is gone. Whoops, start it again. Once you're awake, the whole graspable universe is gone. That's much better. I look forward to chanting and meditating with you after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent more than 8 hours a day every day studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the Taoist and Buddhist, the teachings and techniques of each sect of Taoism and Buddhism so that you wouldn't have to. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Before we begin practicing the actual techniques, let's take a moment to warm up or exercise the neural pathways responsible for for empathy and enthusiasm. We do that through 2 recitations. The first version is rather literal, and we're going to set it to a triplet chant together. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. We're going to take now these 3 ideas right here. These 3 nouns, example, instructions, or students, are so useful that they've earned the metaphoric nickname of the 3 wish-fulfilling jewels, kind of like a genie. We're going to play with the same ideas, but we're going to work with wording that is more figurative and consequently more concise. And we're going to set this wording to a bookend chant. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. Mindfulness and meditation are known by many names, such as in many languages, such as Sati Pasadi, Chan, Dhyana, Proto-Zen, Mahamudra, Mahasandhi, Ati Yoga, Zokuchen, and Trekcho. As children, the first bicycle we received most likely came with training wheels, which, although were clunky, did get the job done. Similarly, this morning's first meditation exercise is going to be ungainly. During our inhalation, we're going to do 2 things. First, we're going to generate a vertical traction between our tush and our head. Second, we're going to silently and mentally recite perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. Our job is not to quell the turbulence, but to merely perceive it. During our exhalation, we have 2 more tasks. First, to physically relax as best we can. Second, to silently and mentally recite, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. We do not relax in hope of quelling the turbulence. We relax in hope of quelling our resistance to whatever comes our way. Let's dig in. By the way, welcome to this morning's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in the chat window in great detail. Do not wait till the end. Let's remove the first of two metaphoric training wheels, reducing the length of our contemplative exercise from 12 syllables per breath down to just 3. During our inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite "Notice this." And during our exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite "Relaxing." Doing so, we will find ourselves practicing Sati Pasati. Let's remove the second of two metaphoric training wheels, reducing our contemplative exercise from 3 syllables per breath down to just 1. During our inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun "this." During our exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb "ease," which functions as a synonym of "relax." And doing so, we will find that we are practicing dhyana. Now that we have reached contemplative cruising altitude, together as a team, let us meditate as transformatively as a ray on Octo under the guidance of Luke Skywalker. Every 8 minutes or so, I will check for questions. Welcome to this morning's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. I check for questions approximately once every 9 minutes or so. As you breathe in, you could silently and mentally recite the adjective tall to remind you to sit up straight. When you find your mind noticing all sorts of things other than your posture, that's fine. Just simply label it as this. During your exhalation, silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax. Welcome to the remainder of this morning's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Please do not wait until the end. I check for questions approximately once every 9 minutes or so. During your inhalation, you could silently and mentally recite the word tall, reminding you to generate traction between your tush and your head. During your exhalation, you could silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease, reminding you to physically relax. As you do this, in the background, you might notice perceptions, emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. That's fine. They will come and they will go. If, however, it feels like they are grabbing you by the lapel and shaking you like a French au pair, then during the inhalation, you can silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. And then continue reciting the verb ease during your exhalation. Let's seal this morning's practice by chanting the Heart of Wisdom Sutra, adapted and amplified from traditional sources. This will be a percussive chant, meaning we're going to perform a soft golf clap during each syllable. It is said that Guanji and Musa and the type of enlightened compassion, while moving in the deep peace of perfect understanding, shed light on the five aggregates and found them equally empty. After this realization, she made peace with all pain. Listen, Shariputra, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Form does not differ from emptiness, emptiness does not differ from form. The same is true with feeling, appraisal, impulse, and awareness. Listen, Shariputra, all phenomena are marked with emptiness. They are neither produced nor destroyed, neither corrupted nor purified, neither increasing nor decreasing. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no appraisal, no impulse, and no awareness that once perceived cannot be released. No sensation, no flavor, no scent, no sound, no sight, no phenomena that once perceived cannot be released. No body, no tongue, no nose, no ears, no eyes, no mind that once perceived cannot be released. No feeling, no tasting, no smelling, no hearing, no seeing, no noticing that once perceived cannot be released. No interdependent origins and no extinction of them, from confusion to aging and death that once perceived cannot be released. No stress, no exacerbation, no liberation, no path. No understanding, no attainment that once perceived cannot be released. Because there is no attainment that once perceived cannot be released, the Bodhisattva archetypes of enlightenment supported by the perfection of understanding find no obstacles for the minds that once perceived cannot be released. Having no obstacles that once perceived cannot be released, they transcend the tyranny of fear. liberating themselves forever from the tyranny of illusion and realizing perfect nirvana. All Buddhas of the past, present, and future, thanks to this perfect understanding, arrive at full right and universal enlightenment. Therefore, one should know that perfect understanding is like a great mantra, is like an unequaled mantra, the destroyer of all suffering, the incorruptible truth. A mantra of Prajna Paramita's perfect understanding could therefore be proclaimed. This is the mantra Gate Gate Para Gate Para Samgate Buddhi Swaha. Going completely and perfectly going to enlightenment. May it be so. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even support this channel. In approximately 10 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.